Greetings to all who join us this evening at our first in a row Ukrainian Feminist Kitchen event. The Ukrainian Feminist Kitchen is a series of online cooking and discussion online events. We are starting at the initiative of the Ukrainian non-governmental organization Feminist Workshop. Our primary aim is to build meaningful connections with the new great people who share our views and values, as well as to build, to create a community of loyalty and support, and also to tell more about Ukrainian feminist movement and our challenges today, especially now in times of Russia's war against Ukraine. What makes the Ukrainian Feminist Kitchen truly exceptional is our live cooking demonstration of the favorite traditional Ukrainian dishes. So everybody can cook and talk together in comfort of our own kitchens. We genuinely hope that this unique format will provide us opportunity to come together online, fostering a sense of care and reinforcement. Today, we are happy to have our prominent speakers who are going to lead us through the discussion. And these are Agnieszka Róż, queer feminist director, facilitator, and Kira Leonova, the activist of Feminist Workshop, translator, and an artist. And the event will be moderated by the remarkable Milena Abrahamyan, feminist and queer activist. So today, our wonderful and charismatic chef host Kateryna Dovbnia, Katya, will be cooking a traditional Ukrainian dish, Hrechanyky. Katya will guide us through each step of the recipe so everybody can succeed in cooking this wonderful meal. So let's start cooking.
Hi everyone, my name is Katya. Here I am as a chef because I like cooking, and today we are cooking Hrechanyky. What does it mean, Hrechanyky, you can ask? In Ukrainian cuisine, there are a lot of dishes which are named after the main ingredient. Hrechanyky, Hrechka, it's buckwheat, so Hrechanyky, it's buckwheat, and we will cook vegan Hrechanyky and like with meat. It's really simple dish, so we just have to mix all these ingredients.
The question for today is, what role do feminists play in times of crisis? And how does our work during such times differ or change? What are some challenges? I would like to give the word to Kira to kick us off on the discussion.
Sure. So, hi everyone. It's nice to see you all. Yeah, as if we weren't together for some time already. So I would like to start by giving a few words about the work of Feminist Workshop in particular before and after the full-scale invasion hit, and how did it change, and possibly the parallels to other feminist organizations in Ukraine. So prior to the full-scale invasion, Feminist Workshop was mainly engaged in educational activities and community building aimed on teenage girls and also young feminists, and on the community, on the feminist community in Lviv, which is where we are located. But after the full-scale invasion hit, it all has changed drastically, and not just for us, but for nearly all the feminist and LGBTQ organizations, and for all the human rights organizations I personally know, since like it is certainly like the crisis that came, and like how does our activity changes in time of crisis, and that was certainly the crisis. Because personally we like switched to providing direct humanitarian assistance. And what Katya has already told about her job, like the shelters were opened and established for internally displaced people. And there is also the program aimed at supporting the elderly women that are particularly vulnerable in times of crisis, and all these things. And even as I'm speaking about this, I feel like there is a sort of hierarchy in my head that I'm building involuntarily about the crisis and like crisis needs. And it seems like that you build it and you think that, okay, now let's forget about something that we've done before and focus on something that is needed here and now. And there is not also the dichotomy of humanitarian aid and like teenage club or cinema screenings. There is also as Ukraine is now at the state of war, there is also the need to lobby for arms, and there is also the need to make the our armed forces successful, because otherwise we wouldn't have the opportunity to be engaged in humanitarian aid and all that stuff. So probably one may think we need to focus only on that. And like some of the people I know, and like personally me, in the first like 1 month or 2 months after the full-scale invasion hit, it was like all about this. Because like that's only it. And then there is the humanitarian aid, which is also needs to be done like here and now, which is also like super emergent, super pressing. But the thing is that I think that these sort of mundane activities that, for instance, Feminist Workshop and a lot of feminist and human rights organizations were holding, they can also be thought of as part of crisis needs. And now I'm really glad that Feminist Workshop is back at making some boarding games events or some feminist stand-up sessions, because or movie nights, because I think that or like discussions about feminism, they can be valuable as the discussions about feminism, but they're also valuable as the opportunity to come together and to build a community and to feel yourself in control of your life, because you return to certain practices that were here once we were not in the crisis that much acute, and you just feel more relaxed. And I'm also part of the gardening initiative in Lviv. And once the full-scale invasion hit, like our urban gardening project, it was like a big hit for internally displaced people, because they were like coming and say, hey, I don't have the opportunity to tend to my garden because possibly it's on the occupied territory, or like I don't have the access to land. But here I feel like I can grow this flower. It seems like it's really a little thing. And it seems like by growing this flower, I'm returning in control, that I can tend to something, I can see it grow, and I know how it will happen. And the same comes with all these events that are like something more peaceful, and something like that may be considered as something that not is first priorities, but still you come here, you like inhale, exhale, and you think that, oh, that is valuable as well, and I feel comfortable here as well, and that is something important, and that is something that it needs to be cherished.
I'm a person from Poland. I live in Berlin. So like what feminist people, folks, as we are here, can do during that time. Everything that we are trying to do in every fucking day. So asking, problematizing, bringing the stories, bringing the civil society stories, bringing the personal histories of every person that decided to be soldier during the crisis, during the war, because of saving land, because of saving other people, because of believing of some values, because of believing that this is necessary. Like, and you know, like when I hear a lot of voices about how we should react, what we can bring, what we can do when the crisis is. And I know that I am not the person in this time of history, in this time of like my life. I am not the person that is under this oppression, the war oppression, the invasion, like Russian invasion. Sorry for my English, I have to say. Sometimes I have this feeling that we are really under this behavior because we are living in this fucking capitalism and patriarchy world so long time. So we have this really behavior that we should have opinion in every fucking topic. And I think that what is like really feminist work is remind other people that sometimes this is the time for speaking for some people. Sometimes it's time for hearing. And sometimes it's a time for staying in silence. And it's still okay. All these behaviors are really okay. And why I try to build this like the soil for our discussion, because like I'm living in Berlin. My English is like it is, you know, and I'm here and I am connected with like a lot of activists from Ukraine, from Poland, from Belarus, also from Russia, also from Syria, from Palestine. And like what I see as our really big task, that is for me as a feminist person, as a queer feminist person, and also that I would involve and invite every person that is feminist and have this privilege to be in safety place in the world, and safety in the body side and emotional side. Because, you know, like I cannot expect from anybody who now is from Ukraine or from Syria or Palestine that they will, they will be involved for all topics that are around the world and are about invasion, about like war situations. But what I can do as a person that is in this safer space, I can try to understand deeper and deeper what it means to be alive, what it means to provoke some discussions, that if I am a person that discuss with some dude from Poland, from German, from Denmark, and this dude is commenting, oh, you know, this is really problematic situation. I don't know what should I think about that. I don't know that the Ukrainian soldiers need support now. Like, you know, for me, this is not emotional work. I can discuss with them. I can try to like show them like, hey, maybe this is the time to like asking, not answering. Like maybe I can try to like connect some situations from them history, from them past, from the situation that is here and now, but not in this region on the Europe, and then try to really understood deeper and deeper the situation, and you know, and build this like allyship around that, because I don't have to speak with person that is really trying to say me what I should do as a person from the region that is under the oppression. But probably if I will be like you, the person that is from Ukraine, mostly living in Ukraine, I will say him like, fuck you. And it will be the most correct feminist answer from my side. And so with what I can start is that it will be really necessary for me to try to, in this our feminist kitchen, find this position from where we are speaking. I'm speaking from Berlin. I'm speaking as a white folk from Poland that really understands what it means peripheral whiteness. And I know that this topic from all of us that we are here, and if we are living not in our countries, not in our Eastern European region, we probably know what it means, peripheral second whiteness. But in the same time, and I think it's really important, and this is my feminist work, I am trying to understand this deeper. I try to build like connection with my roots, with my like history of also like, you know, some like oppression that my grandma did in slavery camps in Germany. But in the same time, don't put all this pressure there. Like, but what I am like, so this is in this metaphorical way, in this like physical way, what I can do as a like feminist person from Eastern Europe, as a Polish folk, like I can support, and I'm doing that. Like in the 24th of February, yeah, we started doing what is necessary, what it was and still is necessary to be done. Like we opened a lot of ways to support people with the travel, with food, with not hosting, but with flats. We opened Alliance for Black Justice in Poland that supported mostly like Black students that get a lot of racism in Polish border. And this is totally about like Polish government that is, that is really shitty, I have to say, and really fascist and really racist also.
You see, I did a lot of balls, meatballs, and potatoes, buckwheat balls. It looks like tasty. I don't know how to you, for me. Super. And after I will roll it on the flour.
For Ukrainians in particularly, there is some sort of the duality when speaking to when like asking for support, when you are speaking like to people that can potentially provide financial support or other sort of support for you. There is this duality, because at the same time you're the one like suffering, and you're the one reflecting upon this suffering and thinking how to make it more marketable. And that is of course something that like familiar to everybody who ever felt like the grant application that just came from the point of discrimination or something. But like in wartime it becomes particularly acute when you need to constantly watch your tone and like to turn yourself into a product, and to think like, does it elicit just the right amount of tears so they will be interested to learn more, to subscribe to your pages, but not so many tears so that it will lead them into hysterics and they will just close the window with the video or close the article or whatever. Or just like, don't let in too much anger into your voice because otherwise they won't listen to you. And that's the constant fight you have with yourself, and that is something that still lingers even after you finish your conversation.
What we can really see during this like dichotomy, like in this dichotomy, is like this relationship between East and West. Western capitalism is trying to see everyone, not only like folks from Eastern Europe, but during the invasion crisis and war crisis in like your country, but also in our region, it is important to really, and probably this is also like feminist work that we have to do, because we know from our stories and body remember that if we will not do this work, then this work will be not done. It's like asking question about what it means our progress and what it means our traditional life.
We have two kinds of Hrechanyky, this with meat, and yes, and this with potato.
I live in Italy. There is this kind of idea of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That means if Russia is the enemy of capitalism, I will side with Russia. So there is this kind of very weird situation in which the left doesn't want to really address the fact that the invader is Putin, that the invader is Russia, and these are colonialist ideas. At the same time, there is a capitalist and pro-NATO propaganda about how capitalism is the best, the West is the best. It's this very weird, sterile public debate, which is basically just isn't helping anybody, at least in my opinion, because it doesn't let people from the actual former USSR talk about what it was to be under Russian rule. It doesn't really allow Ukrainian people to talk.
I'm a psychotherapist. My thoughts will be short about limited resources, about how many fights we can have at the one time. And, I feminist already, I don't know how long classical life, but yeah, I remember that I choose fight with patriarchy as my inner, like one of the biggest fights. I also had fights with narcissism as a psychotherapist and also with some other things, with depression. But now I have only one fight because I'm limited. My life is limited. My resources, they are limited. And my main fight is to win in this war. Was not like, it's not me who will be winning, but yeah, for this time, I have very, very narrow goal and this will be only one fight in this time.
I feel this responsibility, and maybe like this is my personal answer, like this is my responsibility as a feminist that now is like safety enough to try to connect this discussion. And also if my mother is talking about like we should support Ukrainian folks, la la la, I also see sometimes this as a problematic because she's seeing themselves as a Polish person that is safety and I have to help. You know, this narration about I have to help also have a lot of dangerous spots, blame spots in this situation. I would love to see our collaboration as working in one goal. I am not working for you.
And that's one of my pet peeves, like the top pet peeves. It's just like the full-scale invasion. It just showed like really cutely the gap between our lived experience and about like Western feminist theory that was at times created coming from the position of privilege. And it seemed like it was not just something I felt, but for dozens of feminists, once the full-scale invasion hit, there was like, wow, it's time to get disappointed. And it worked on several levels. First, there were some prominent feminists, like Western feminists, that I used to look up to, and then the full-scale invasion hit, and they just come up with some ridiculous pacifists that just give up pamphlets or whatever, and it's just you can't look at the theories themselves the same. You just tend to keep them with a grain of salt and thinking, maybe you were insensitive enough in your research as well. And what I'm talking about, like, mainly are things relating to militarism and militarization. And it seems like there were certain theories that were taken from the West and uncritically adopted, not taken into account that they were coming from the place of privilege. For instance, like the concept of militarization, which was like a lot of it was the hot topic for the discussion for years, and like the dangers and the threats of militarization. What if our country will get militarized? That's so dangerous. Yeah, and like looking up to Cynthia and Low's text, but Cynthia and Low coined the point of like militarization and how dangerous it is suited for her country. It is suited for US. It is suited for the country that at times were the aggressor country. It is not suited for the country defending itself. The same, were the theoretical discourse about the threats of nationalism, which was coined in the Western society, pertaining to the nationalism and nationalist ideas of the oppressors. And it is not about the nationalism of those who are colonized and for those who are oppressed. And that was sort of the crisis of meanings. We took something that was meant to be objective, but suddenly we found ourselves left without something to look up to, and suddenly we're thinking what do we need to do? And for some feminists and some people in academia, I know there was some disappointment in the concept of the making theories and making academic theories at all. Wow, they just don't help to saving lives. And there was this radical gap. And I'm just thinking about for me, it was the first time when I felt myself so acutely the object of the scientific research once the full-scale invasion hit, and there was these new theoretical works and new history articles and books in the making, centering on the experience of Ukrainians at war, and you just feel you're under a spotlight and people looking at you, and you're feeling like a laboratory object. You're being dissected, and it just hurts. And for some people, it was a disappointment. Maybe we shouldn't need these theories altogether. But I believe that we need to have our rights defended on several levels, and academia and theorizing needs to be done by us, and a lot of things needs to be reconceptualized. And the same thing goes for the post-colonial, decolonial theories considering Ukraine, because once again, lots of theories pertaining to that were adopted, coming from the countries, for instance, with the history, really different history from us, without experience of colonization, and instead, coming from the slave owning countries. We didn't have this. It's really great that we do have the theoretical frameworks to analyze racism and systematic racism in our country, because that's something that we do have. But we don't have the frameworks, for instance, to speak about Russia's Ukrainian relationship over the centuries. And over the last years, there were attempts to use the existing theories, okay, can Ukraine be named subaltern? Can it be named colony or a special colony? But the relationship are truly so intricate that I feel for both the past and for both the present, we need to coin something new, done by us. And the example I really do love is about about some countries. They do have the experience of slavery. We don't, but we do have the experience of serfdom. And up until крепостное право, up until the 1861, we did have people that could be bought, that could be sold, that could be gifted, and nothing was different between the masters and the serfs. Not the color of the skin, not possibly the ethnicity, not possibly the language. And maybe I'm thinking about how can it make to feel me probably the descendant of the serf. I'm not the descendant of the serf. My great grandma, they owned her family. They owned a little village of people, 100 people or something. It wasn't much. As it was told in my family legends, but there were people they owned. and they do not have the theoretical framework to analyze and to think about this part of my ancestry. And that is something that's a lot of things that it seems to need to be done like by starting anew from completely new page, and with the principles nothing about us without us, and probably as well nothing about us coming from the theoretical frameworks not coined by us as well.
Taking time for yourself, being allowed to do things that you believe and you have power and you're strong enough to do these things is really important. If I agree that I am more and more full of stress, full of like emotions that are eating me inside, then of course I will be less and less committed to my way, because then I am fighting. I am only fighter. Then I am what the system would like that I will be. I am only fighter. I am not person who loves, who see the future, who see like that I can win, but not won. It means that destroyed everything else that now like Russia is doing. But I try to find my way to be allowed to see alternatives for this situation. Commit yourself to work that you really believe that is your way to live your life, not only some fight to be won, not only some situation to be solved, not only some community that needs support or need care. Like to commit yourself for your way that you choose, and you're choosing the same way in all days, like in every day, in every morning,